Well, good afternoon and welcome to Lunch with Haley. My name is Matt Lozar, Director of Recruitment Marketing here at Haley Marketing, and I am excited to be presenting alongside Kathy Duffy, our Recruitment Marketing Strategist, where we will be focusing on a recruitment marketing tune-up. And we have a great presentation planned. Kathy, at least I think we do, but we're ready to throw this one out the window if we get some great audience participation. If we're able to use the base of this presentation, but then get some feedback from the crowd. And we're looking if you would love to have your recruitment marketing analyzed. And what we mean by that is looking at your recruitment marketing of the 4 pillars of recruitment marketing: career sites, job advertising, social recruiting, and employer branding. And this is something Kathy and I do all the time. The marketing team here at Haley Marketing thought it'd be a great way to change it up a little bit for our monthly Lunch with Haley webinar, whether you're watching here live at the end of June 2021 or on demand. But if you're able to submit your company's career site, have some questions about job advertising, employer branding, want us to look at your social recruiting profiles right here during the Lunch with Haley webinar, we'd love to do that. And this is what Kathy does a lot throughout, her day and week and month, and I help along with her as well as part of our recruitment marketing department. But I wanted to introduce Kathy and just, Kathy, what would be a great way for, what value do you try to provide when looking at clients for different pillars of recruitment marketing?
Matt, thanks for the introduction. When I'm talking to clients about recruitment marketing, I actually look at it from a different perspective. A lot of the clients are looking at it from their way. They're not thinking about how a candidate experience is. So usually when I'm doing these audits, I take off my strategist hat. I actually act as if I'm a candidate. And I look for things that, are capturing and engaging me, things that would make me take an action, things that would have me interested in your company. So that's what I do when I'm on my audit calls with clients.
And that's a great way to look at it. Kathy's been in recruitment marketing for 20 plus years, and along with how Haley Marketing has developed the 4 pillars of recruitment marketing, we first deem recruitment marketing as everything it takes to get the right people to apply to your jobs. It's one of the themes of our recruitment marketing website over at recruitmentmarketers.com, where we have great blogs, webinars, other advice and content that talk about the 4 different pillars of recruitment marketing. And we like to look at them as career sites, job advertisement, social recruiting, and employer branding. And if you have career site of yours you'd like for us to talk about here on the webinar, some social media profiles, just put them into the chat or into the questions window, and I'll do my best to moderate them, and we will pull them up on the broadcast here to walk through those different pillars and share some tips on things that we look at and hopefully help drive more candidates for your recruitment marketing, because it's such a challenge right now in the industry. There's 70+% more warehouse jobs that are being advertised on Indeed than there were pre-pandemic. Some people are starting to go back to work. Some people are looking to move to different jobs. There's people who still have concerns about the pandemic and the virus or childcare issues, but if you're able to really focus on these 4 pillars of recruitment marketing and to really dive into each of them, it can help collect more candidates for your company. And today we want to start with a tune-up with this little rocker here, tuning up his Fender guitar, but we would love to jump in and look at some different ways, of the 4 pillars, and we'll start here with career sites. And now more than ever, the website is the front door to your company. Obviously, that was common before the pandemic, but with remote work, in traditional jobs, knowledge worker jobs starting to increase. I was reading a great article shared with our leadership team today in the Atlantic that was talking about how The number of people resigning or leaving their jobs was the highest it's ever been in May 2021. Some of that could be data catch up, but it's also if companies aren't able to learn more about your company through a remote fashion, aren't able to work remote, they're going to learn so much about your company. That's the front door to your company right now. We are much more comfortable looking at companies, interacting with companies in that virtual setting. So Kathy, how should I evaluate my career site? We have some great questions and examples coming in. I'm going to pull some up, but I know you have a pretty good process that you like to walk through when looking at career sites in the industry.
Sure. Well, some of the first things I look at your site is one, is it visually appealing, right? So when a candidate actually gets to your site or even to client focus, do they know that they've arrived at the right site? So you want to make sure that you have your specialties listed there. When a candidate actually gets to your site, you want to make sure you have things in place that capture and engage their attention pretty quickly, right? So think about things like a call to action fly-in on the homepage, like an apply now button. We have seen some of our clients see a 70% increase in applications with some type of fly-in that asks the candidate to take an action quickly, such as an apply now. Some other things that I would consider is make sure that your site is interactive. And what I mean by that is think about ways to capture and then also engage those candidates. So a chatbot is a really great add-on to your website, and it gives that candidate the opportunity to actually be engaged with your site and then also very well informed. So even though you may have information on your site that if they took the time and they search through, they can find the answers, sometimes the candidates are looking for more of a quick reply, a way to get their answers quickly. And not have to wait for a response from you or dig around a website. So think about having a chatbot which allows the candidate to get their questions answered 24/7, 365 days a week. And you can have those like automatically filled with your basic questions and FAQs. And then also that also helps you from the capture piece, which anyone that's interacting with your chatbot, you could collect that candidate information and reach out to them at another time. Some other things that I think are really important is we don't know how the candidate got there. And when they are there, we want to make sure that we're giving them the most information to sell ourselves, right? So if you have featured jobs or hot jobs, I definitely recommend having that easily accessible on your homepage. Some other things that are important, again, is capture their attention by letting them know that others are enjoying their experience with you. So really important to have your testimonials right on the homepage, or if you don't have the testimonials up there, but you have the testimonials somewhere else on your website, think about putting a big, bold button or a link that drives them to the employee testimonial so they can hear what everybody else is saying. I mean, they say that 41% of candidates want to see what your employee testimonials are when they're researching companies in their job search. So that I think is really, really important. Blogs are a really great way to have a candidate look at you as a resource, right? So yes, we can place you in a job, but we also want those candidates to come back to us time and time again, and then also recommend us, right? So let the candidate look at you as a resource that they could go to when they need information or guidance on something. And when you are sharing your blogs, you want to make sure that you have a big call to action on that blog at the end of a blog. So after they're done reading and getting all the information that they need, we want to be selfish as well and drive them to take an action for what we want them to do, which ultimately is search for a job. So make sure you have some type of call to action. I like to recommend like a big image that says, hey, check out our opportunities here. Have them click that button and bring them right back to your job board.
That's a great start there, Kathy. And we have a couple of examples coming in where it's hard for me to keep up right now, to be quite honest. But this will help us provide some live analysis of career sites right here during the presentation. So I'm going to pull up this first one here where we talked about career sites. And I'm first going to pull up AllStarsStaffing.com. And one of the fun parts of going live on webinars is hopefully all the tech works for us. So we're going to pull up AllStarsStaffingHere.com. And when you come to a website, Kathy, I know you've talked about on the last slide 5 or 6 different bullet points to look for: calls to action, a chatbot, if it's hot jobs, testimonials, some content, how everything works together. With this site here from AllStar Staffing, what would you really start to analyze from the start and walk through with a recruitment marketing evaluation?
Well, first I'm just looking, one, is the site appealing, which it is. Really great colors that you have here. I'm trying to see right away if I know exactly that I'm at a staffing company and if I could see your specialties where you help. I can't, Matt, can you scroll down for me just to see? Okay, there. So I know the different areas that you help, which is really key. So those are things I'm looking for. Can you scroll down a little bit more for me, Matt?
Yep.
Okay, so if I was a candidate, I'm up here, I already know that I've reached a staffing company that can help me find a job, right? I also know what areas that you help fill, which is great. What I'm not seeing here, and hopefully I'm not missing it, is I don't see your hot job. So if I was up here, let's say you have some hard to fill positions and you really want to generate a lot of traffic to those jobs, the key to doing that is having it right on your homepage, right? So you want to showcase some of your hard to fill positions or your featured positions for somebody to see right away that you have opportunities that you want to hire for pretty quickly. The other thing is, I love that you have client testimonials up there. That's awesome. So you do a really great job there. But what are you doing to capture and engage my attention, right? So obviously I'm here as a candidate. I'm here looking to see where you could actually look for a job opportunity. But you as a staffing industry, the staffing client, want me to actually take an action. So having some type of fly-in or a call to action that says, hey, Kathy, apply now, or we're hiring, would be really beneficial for you because it captures my attention and it would drive me to the job board right away, right? So that's what I would recommend. I see you have to click on apply now just to see if it went right to.
Jumps down to the contact us at the bottom of the page.
Great. So, I mean, this is a great way for them to capture the candidate's information if, they just wanted to supply some information for a job opportunity and be matched with a position. It looks like it's a really quick and easy fill, which is good. When you're thinking about your apply process, make sure that it's quick, easy, and simple. The candidates don't want to waste much time on filling out an application, so that's a good start if you're just collecting information. The other thing I'm noticing, again, I had mentioned that chatbot. So if I was a candidate and kind of feeling lazy, but I just want to ask a couple of general questions, having a chatbot would make it very easy for me to ask those questions that I needed answered right here without having to search around. So that's just my first initial reaction to what I'm seeing right here.
No, that's great. I think that the base of that website is fantastic. There might be some smaller things here or there that might help out that Kathy's talking about. We had Vector as part of our presentation to where they have a fly-in over here on the side, big, bold, matches the overall theme and color scheme of this website. We're hiring, find these great opportunities. And then also the chatbot over here on the right, to where chatbots, artificial intelligence and natural language processing, all of that gets thrown around, and we aren't really sure in the tech world what that exactly means yet, unless you're having a huge budget with a really strong and robust chatbot. But if you have a way to engage candidates, visitors, overall visitors to your website, when they head to your website, that can be a great way to capture their intent. We're used to that in the retail space when we have a question about a purchase we want to make, or if we're trying to have a service question with an airline or a hotel, we expect an answer right away. We're not here to say you need someone manning the live chat window 24/7, but if you're able to provide them with a guided chat, to where if I'm seeking a job and then the next part of that pops up, to where this company will help you find information, send us a resume, it'll guide you through a chat to lead to the point of bringing over some contact information later on. That's where I think the AllStar Staffing site, as Kathy was talking about, has a great base, has a really fantastic options, maybe test out 1 or 2 different things with different copy to see how those will work. I'm going to try to switch back over here to our presentation, and we talk about career sites, but also want to talk about Career Portal. And what's important for recruitment marketing when you look at the career portal. How I look at the career portal versus career sites, it really focuses on the career site being that homepage, job seekers contact us. The career portal is where the job postings are actually looking at. And we see a lot of different career portals when we work with different staffing agencies. What are some areas, Kathy, that are really important for recruitment marketing to increase our candidate, help candidate experience really be positive and provide a seamless experience for them?
Yeah, well, the first one is a really important one. So that first bullet you have right there, desktop versus mobile, you want to make sure they have a seamless candidate experience. So you want to make sure, specifically on mobile, that your mobile site is optimized, right? So you want to make sure that that candidate experience is seamless, right? Very easy for them to navigate, find the information that they want, make the apply process simple. Again, I had mentioned that the candidates are kind of looking to just get their information quickly over to you. You want to make sure that your application process is under 3 minutes. And if it can't be, somewhere on your website, you should set an expectation and let them know that your application will take X amount of time so that they're aware and they can prepare for that apply process. But our recommendation is really keep it short and simple. Just collect the basic information: first name, last name, email, and an opportunity to upload a resume if they have it. And then also you want to have a career portal that actually allows them to sign up for job alerts. So maybe you don't have a job that fits what they're looking for right now, but there's a perfect opportunity for you to reach out to them anytime you post a new position that fits what they're searching for. Regarding the recruiter profiles are important because it puts a face to the name, right? And you want people to feel familiar with you. You want them to feel safe. You want them to feel like they know you and trust you. So having recruiter profiles are really important because it helps with that. I don't know if I covered everything, Matt, but feel free to jump in.
No, you did. I think in this next slide, I'll also talk about some of the tech aspects of different career portals. And we'll jump over to a couple examples here in a minute, but taking it to the next level of the SEO value on your domain. Mm-hmm. When Google looks at websites, it wants to see content constantly updated, constantly refreshed, that's applicable to your website. If you look at your career site, is it on your domain? What do I mean? Your domain is yourstaffingagencyname.com, something like that. For us, it's haleymarketing.com. Your career site, sometimes some career portals jump to another website. So it's not haleymarketing.com anymore. It's a totally different .com or .net. Where you're going to see a lot of value in the search engine optimization is if it's right on your domain and maybe it's on a subdomain like jobs.haleymarketing.com, careers.haleymarketing.com, or if it's haleymarketing.com / then the rest of the URL is there. That can help drive so much traffic back to your site as it improves your presence in the search rankings. Google for Jobs optimize. We need to have our jobs optimize and in the right format. So when Google scans your website or when you send information over to Google, it'll accept it and it's in the language that Google speaks. You can't just have your website sitting out there for Google for Jobs and hope the jobs get scanned to show up in those search results when someone conducts a query, searches on Google for jobs. You need to have your career portal in the right format. Job distribution and source tracking. Can your career portal distribute your jobs out to other job aggregators to get free organic traffic where there's a lot of companies accepting job orders? Talent.com is one example that will take jobs from the industry and post them on their website so you can get free traffic back to your site. And source tracking is really important. Did Matt apply for the job on Facebook? Did Kathy apply for the job from Indeed? Did Matt apply from ZipRecruiter? Having that information can help your team determine where the best quality candidates are coming from and help with your job advertising, which we'll talk about in the next pillar. But I wanted to show an example here of a career portal from a company I know you use in a lot of examples, Kathy, where we talk about job advertising with the advanced group, career portals with the advanced group, and kind of a natural transition of writing really good job descriptions too that will help drive better conversions when candidates find your jobs?
Yeah, it's really important for you to think of your job postings more of an advertisement, less than a job description, right? So especially in this really tough market, we're trying to advertise to the candidate why they would want that particular position with you and not with a competitor. All right, so focusing on the what's in it for me statement really talks to the candidate because, you know, I say this loosely, but they really care more about themselves than they do anything else. So we really want to talk about things that are important to them. And Matt just highlighted a really good one. The advanced group does a great job with their job posts. They're talking to the candidate directly, such as, would you like a full-time job that allows you to have every other week off? Yeah, I do, right? So somebody's going to continue reading that job post, and then hopefully it'll convert over to an apply. So you want to focus on things that are important to you. They're looking for a higher energy environment with room for advancement. That's awesome. We have a great opportunity for you. So think of what your candidate is looking for and make sure that you have that in your job postings. And then, of course, this might be obvious information, but if you're not putting your salaries in there, or at least your pay rate in there, you're missing an opportunity to sell yourself on that as well. So make sure that your jobs are short and sweet. Keep them to 300 to 800 words. The candidate has a very small attention span. So just want to make sure you get as much information in there in a very short period, right? So keep to the very important things. Think of different ways to present your salary. So if you want to make it look a little bit bigger, instead of doing an hourly salary, think about using an annual one, right? Because that makes it look a little bit more attractive to the candidate. And then again, make sure that your apply process is short and sweet. So one of the things I run into on occasion is I see really long applications and I bump into an area where it's asking me to put in my social security number. And I don't know if anybody else on this call would feel the same way, but I kind of go, what do they need that information for right now where I'm just applying for a job? So my recommendation is keep it short and simple and don't ask for information that makes that candidate feel a little uncomfortable.
Those are great tips. And I think one reason we showed these job postings from the advanced group a lot is they do a fantastic job of the what's in it for me with jobs that are traditional staffing jobs. This isn't a full-time, high-level C-suite job. This is a warehouse job where there's a lot of them are available, but they pick out one or two things from each of the jobs. That other one talked about a full-time job where you have every other week off. This job talks about, do you love overtime, which some people do, some people don't, and that's okay. But having that in the top of the job posting can really help find the right candidates to get the right people to apply for your jobs. And these tips Kathy walked through as she was explaining those last job postings, but having the right length job post of 300 to 800 words, really focusing on titles that candidates use. Save the job titles with Ninja for the business card. Don't put that in your search. Do some research on Google or Indeed to find out what people are actually searching for, and really have as short of apply process as you can to avoid any friction and really reduce that friction to drive the best candidates to reduce that friction to drive the best applications to your jobs. Kathy, we have a question here from Kaylin at Meduli, where they talk about they don't post their open jobs because there are so many and they come and go so quickly, but they have more about types of jobs. What do you think about that when there's not categories, there's not specific jobs, but there's more category jobs? I'm going to pull it up here to show everyone what exactly that experience is. So instead of having postings, they'll just have common categories that they are staffing for.
Okay, so if I was looking at this as a candidate, I know that you have, it says frequent job openings. So automatically, I don't know that job is actually open. I also don't know, just because I can't get around to your website, but I don't know exactly where those jobs are located. So these are just the things I'm thinking about right off the cuff. I mean, I didn't look at your site beforehand, but my recommendation, and I know, maybe it's a challenge. Maybe you have a certain strategy that you have in mind, but as a candidate, I don't know that job is specifically open right now. I'm not really sure what requirements, where it's located, what the hourly salary is. So things that would be important to a candidate, I'm not finding out right here. That's my feedback for this, Matt. I don't know if you're leaning a different direction, but as a candidate, these are the things that would be important to me if I was searching for a job.
I think the candidate experience there, Kathy, is spot on. From a company recruiter standpoint, I would look into software that could help. Is there software that can help you integrate those postings so you don't have a manual process? So when the job order comes into your staffing software, your ATS, is there a way for your team to just click a couple buttons so then it automatically appears up on your website when it's open? And then if it's a couple days, if it's a week, when that job is closed or you don't want to have it published and posted anymore, are you able to remove it pretty quickly from your career site? I think Kathy's thought about the candidate experience is spot on, because if I was looking for a job and I came here, I might be a project manager, I might be in IT, but I'd like to know exactly what I'm applying for. And I know the value of staffing agencies and recruiters is to help find the right fit for people, but there would be a little bit of hesitancy there. So I would look into trying to be able to find ways to use software to your advantage to increase the efficiency of your posting process. So I think we've done a really good job of talking about career sites. We're going to move over to my world of job advertising. And we talk about programmatic job advertising a lot at Haley Marketing, and it's a big, scary word. It is a little confusing at times, even for me, who's been working on it for 4 years. But the best way to look at it is to think about programmatic as automated purchasing of job advertising through software, to where you're not just relying on humans to do that, but leveraging software to help you implement your strategy to change how you spend your money and really leverage that technology and that software to help you out to maximize the ROI and efficiency of your job spend. What's important for recruitment marketing? These are, Kathy, walk us through your process here of how you really help companies understand if their recruitment advertising strategy is correct, needs some improvement, or what are some areas that you really walk through to help companies understand if that budget's being used correctly?
Well, that's a collaborative effort with you, Matt. So first I find out, with the people that I'm talking to, where they're actually spending their advertising dollars. Are you advertising on multiple job boards? Are you sponsoring jobs on Indeed? Are you sponsoring jobs on ZipRecruiter? Or are you using ZipRecruiter job slots? Sometimes if the clients are using job slots, I ask them to send us reporting over the last 60 days so that we can kind of do an analysis if the cost per application, if they have a great ROI on it. And if not, sometimes, we're fully transparent, letting them know if they're doing great, then we'll tell them to stay with job slots. If they're not, we actually recommend that they think about a different strategy when it comes to ZipRecruiter and look at doing the Indeed model, where you're actually putting some sponsorship dollars behind certain jobs. I ask them if it's a manual process. Are you looking to get more time back in your day? How much time does it take you to actually open and close jobs when you're working directly with the job boards? I'm asking them, are you allocating budget to different categories of jobs? So do your branches, like if you have multiple branches, do you have separate budgets for each branch, and how are you controlling that? How are you watching the spend on that? How are you watching the reporting for all of the different job boards that you're advertising on, and know that the return on investment is there? Do you have flexibility? Are you locked into a annual contract? Do you have the ability to have fluid budget, meaning if one platform's not performing for you, can you easily move it to another platform? So these are some of the things that I'm talking about with clients, just to see if programmatic would be a good fit for them. On top of that, I also want to know how much money you're actually spending on your job board advertising. Because programmatic advertising, we find that it's a good fit for companies that are spending around $2,000 or more on their job board advertising. It's the breaking point where it makes financial sense to switch over to an automated solution.
Kathy talked about really looking at different budgets, and we'll provide analysis for companies. And this is something you should do on your end, is look at what your current monthly performance is. And a job slots model is a great way to look at this, to analyze your data, to understand what's the return is for your company. Kathy will send one or two to me at least every week. And sometimes we'll come back with, yeah, you could improve your strategy by doing X, Y, and Z, or you're doing really good. There's nothing we can do to help you right now. There might be some other smaller things, but in the job advertising pillar of recruitment marketing, you're doing awesome. And that's where looking at the data to determine if it's really helping a company meet their recruitment goals is most important. This was an example I pulled from a couple of weeks ago, to where a company has 200 job slots with $4,000 a month. Looking at their data for the past 30 days, their cost per application was just under $5, which for this job board was a little bit high. But also beyond that, the company had a lot of jobs that weren't receiving a lot of applications. There was 91 of their 200 jobs advertised in the month had 0 or 1 applications, because there wasn't any strategy behind it through the model of job slots. Job slots has pros and cons, just like pay-per-click has pros and cons. To look at your performance of job slots, it's a parking lot model. You get 200 spots on a job board, and that you pay the same amount no matter what application totals your job slots receive throughout the month. So if a company really likes this cost per application, or really enjoys having a number of jobs receive a high amount of applications, this could be really right for the correct strategy for them. But if the cost per application is a little high, or if they want to get more applications on a sheer number of more jobs, they want to reduce that 91 job total with 0 1 applications to 10 or 20, a pay-per-click model of programmatic could really help improve and get more ROI. So moving on here in the job advertising pillar, some areas to really focus on to get more ROI is these 6 bullet points here. And when we talk about these, Kathy, how many of these different areas are companies usually implementing on their own, whether it's through automation or testing different job titles, tracking the source, or keeping their budgets flexible? When you talk with clients and consult with them, how many of them are actually doing some or any of these already?
Very, very little. There's not a lot of control on the eliminating the wasted spend. There's a lot of manual process in place with the people that I'm talking to. No, I don't really hear much about job title testing. And the budget issue is a lot of the job boards are telling them to spend more, get more. And I haven't heard really any information on the geographic expansion, and then some, which I always praise and cheer when they tell me they're doing source tracking, but that isn't, that's something I continuously hear I need to do better with.
Being able to leverage the technology will help. It will help with Caitlin's question earlier about getting jobs just to their website or out to the job boards, job aggregators. Technology here will help eliminate wasted spend. So it's important for companies to go back and look at their data to see, okay, do I have a couple of jobs eating up a disproportionate amount of the budget with getting too many applications, which still is possible right now? Do I have some jobs eating up a disproportionate amount of my budget by receiving a high number of clicks but a low number of applications? That's what eliminating wasted spend means. It's important to really focus on those different areas. With the job title testing, I'll talk about that on the next slide, and some geographic expansion as well. But source tracking. Does your recruitment software, does your recruitment career portal software have the ability to say where Matt applied from, where Kathy applied from, and track that all the way through the process to not only know what the cost per acquisition was for our resume or our contact info, but what's the cost per application on each place your company's investing for a quality candidate, or the return at the gross margin level? What's that information? Once you have that information, the data-driven decisions can come, and you can get more ROI from the job board. And it's important to test. It's really important to look at some different areas. And this was from a client that is in the financial accounting recruiting, and their traditional job title really just focused on standard job titles, good job titles, actuaries, accountants, financial analysts, etc. But then we added in remote into the job title, and the cost per application decreased by nearly $5, which is really important. So it's important to know what job candidates are searching for. It's important to look at data from Google, from Indeed. And we know that remote work from home jobs are as popular as they've ever been. If your job has that, create some different versions of your jobs and put remote right in the title. Put WFH right in the title and compare your results to a traditional job title. The data here shows that it can work really well. For some industries, it might. For some industries, it might not. So I think it's really important for companies to think about what can they test in their recruitment marketing strategies. What's really important for them to test? What are some areas that, Kathy, when you have some calls with staffing agencies, that you really think is important for them to test?
Well, I think they need to test out different job boards. So different job boards are going to perform better in certain job categories or certain geographic locations than others. So I would definitely test that. I would definitely test, as you were mentioning, job titles. That's really important. You want to make sure that you're putting the right job titles out there and positioning yourself for what the candidate is actually looking for. So I would make sure that I was doing that. But I'm real big on testing everything. So test out different job postings, give it a shot, try out the what's in it for me. Does that make a difference for you? Try changing the way you're presenting your salary. Does that make a difference for you? That's what I would do, is just test out all the different types of things. But the most important thing, I think, is really paying attention to where you're spending your advertising dollars and make sure you're testing the right job boards and following if they are delivering the right ROI for you.
You hit the three things on the top of my list, Kathy. The only one I would add in there is apply process. If you have
yes, there we go. Yep. Thank you, Matt.
That's why we do preparation before the presentations. Test quick apply, test long apply, test a medium apply. See what your results are when someone applies right on Indeed or goes back to your website, or applies right on ZipRecruiter or goes back to your website. Test those different apply processes to measure quantity, to measure quality, and determine how it can help you with recruitment advertising. But now we're going to switch over to social recruiting. And we had a couple great examples come through. I'll pull them up in a little bit. But with social recruiting, we want to get beyond likes and shares. We want to turn that social media into placements. Yes, there's a place for impressions and awareness, and it should be part of a complete, full recruitment marketing strategy. But we also want to turn all of that work on social into placements, because a great stat from CareerArc here is nearly 90%, 86% of job seekers use social media in their job search. Doesn't just mean to apply. It means they could apply and then go research your company, or vice versa. They do some research and then apply. Or maybe they're in the interview process and they connect with other people currently working at your company to see their perspective or see if they're posting anything positive or negative about your company. So it's really important to have that social recruiting presence. And I think it starts right here, but walk us through that right social strategy, Kathy, as I head over to the chat window to pull up some companies that want us to look at their social recruiting strategy.
Sure. Well, social recruiting is something I'm pretty passionate about. That's how I received or found out about the last two jobs that I had. So it's not like I went out searching. Social recruiting is important for reaching active seekers, but it's also very important for reaching a passive seeker. Right? So we want to make sure that we get our information in front of the right people at the right time, and social plays a really big part of that. Some of the things I highly recommend when we're talking about social is make sure that you're consistently posting. You don't want just one post here and there every once in a while. You want to make sure that you're consistent. 3 to 4 times a week is best practice in the space, but you also want to share a healthy mix of client and candidate posts, right? Including the fluffy stuff, motivational stuff. I'm screaming from the rooftops always, candidate testimonials as images belong on your social media pages. As Matt had said, they're doing their research. So while they're doing their research, make sure that they see that others enjoy working with you and had a great experience. Whether you're sharing that as an image or if you could do videos, that's even better. That's great. You want to be seen as a resource, as I mentioned before. So you want to make sure that you're sharing blog content up there. And then also any educational things. Teach them how to do things. Drive them to things that are happening in the industry. Keep them abreast to what's new and different out there. The other thing that I scream from the rooftops is, anytime you're posting on social media, be selfish and have a call to action and bring them back home to you. All right. So if you have a post that's a candidate testimonial, you can say, hey, be like Matt, check out our job opportunities, and drive them back to your website. Your blog should be attached to your website, drive them back to your website. So again, be selfish, where you're bringing them back to you so that they can search for a job and ultimately find an opportunity with you. I love hashtags. So if you can implement some hashtags that help you amplify your messaging and get your message to a wider audience. So anytime somebody's searching on social, I don't know if everybody knows this, but a hashtag just simply means search for. And people are looking for different conversations that are happening out there, or they're looking for content, or maybe they're even doing some job searching. So think about using hashtags that, again, can amplify your presence, get into deeper conversations. So that could be job related, whether it's hashtag job opening, hashtag hiring, hashtag now hiring. It could be hashtag Toms River jobs, because that's where I live, here in Toms River, New Jersey. It could be hashtag careers. It could be hashtag administrative jobs, things of that nature that just get you into different conversations. So those are things that I think are really important when it comes to social recruiting.
That's a great overview. And I think it's a lot goes into it. And the team here at Haley Marketing does a great job creating social strategies, but I think all staffing agencies need to do that as well. It's not just a post and pray. It's not just hoping something sticks. It's having a lot of thought behind what goes up on your social pages, the amount of times it goes up, the copy, the imagery, everything behind that look and feel. I'm going to pull up an example here from Employee Partners down in Georgia. Worked a team down there a lot. And John here submitted his information through the chat here today, and just going to walk through their Facebook page here real quickly. Kathy, I'll scroll down a little bit, but some impressions as we start at the top and find our way down.
Okay, so far good imagery. I love that you're looking to be the best of Georgia, so that's great. You're driving them back to vote for you guys. You have job opportunities up there. Oh, that was fast. Was that another one? Okay, another job one. Keep going. Great imagery. I mean, my eyes are going right to them. I see the information. It's eye-catching. You have salary in some of your posts. You're talking about team events, which is good. That's employer branding. How you guys are having an expo. All right, what I'm seeing right off the bat is most of the posts that I've seen already are job heavy. You want to mix up that content. I didn't check the dates, but I don't think that you are continuously sharing multiple times a week.
It's been about,
so you want to make sure.
Yeah, it's been a couple times a week.
Okay. Just make sure that you're sharing 3 to 4 times a week and a mix of content. I didn't see any candidate testimonials up there. Are we stuck here?
Oh, we're just going back to the top. I think.
Okay. And then, I mean, I saw some of them. You had a call to action, driving them back to your website, which is good. I didn't notice any hashtags, which would just be an added benefit. Again, just amplifying that message, getting into different conversations up there. I see you have a phone number. I always recommend when you're doing a post like this and you're giving a phone number, also give them the opportunity to quickly click a link. I do see that it's jobs.employmentpartners.com, but then they have to physically go ahead and plug that in. We want to make sure that we're helping that lazy candidate by just easily clicking a link so they can get back to your website.
One of the questions we have here from Melissa is how many hashtags and which ones to include in posts. And I'll start here because Melissa brings up a good question. It's talking about not only how many, but it talks about, should I focus on the popular ones? Because a lot of posts will appear, and there's pros and cons to each answer here. We want to, at the end of the day, we want our jobs to be found by the right job seeker. So we have to include hashtags that they are searching for. So if it is something that is hashtag jobs, or if it is something hashtag now hiring, there could be a lot of information in that post, or excuse me, a lot of competition for that hashtag. But if we get really granular and have a hashtag that might have a lot of characters or is very specific, our post might not get found. So I think a good balance of trying a couple of hashtags and seeing if we can get some traffic off of that, conduct some searches on your own. But I would focus probably on those more popular hashtags to include in your post.
Right. I will make note that for if you have a Twitter presence, which I don't hear that a lot of our clients or customers have an aggressive approach to Twitter. But if you're using Twitter, hashtags on Twitter, which you should, I highly recommend that. That is the third largest search engine on the internet. And the way to get in front of different conversations is using a hashtag. Limit that to 2. Otherwise, it affects the algorithm. But I agree with Matt. It's focus on the power of the hashtag. Make sure you're getting into the right conversations and you're reaching the right people.
Now we're going to jump over to Instagram, where the team at AllStar Staffing included this. And Instagram's an interesting tactic to use in recruitment marketing, where I think it can work really well. And we at Haley Marketing talk a lot is about with branding. It's about creating, maybe not getting job posting. Kristen asked a posting about job postings on Instagram, which we could include some of it. I wouldn't recommend it as a large amount of your postings, maybe a 10, 20-ish%. But Instagram is built on imagery. It's then went into video. And being able to convey your office culture, your team culture, why working for your company can really come through on Instagram. When you're talking to companies, Kathy, how do you coach and consult them with Instagram and recruitment marketing?
Yeah, so it's very similar to what you just said. You're not going to see a huge conversion coming over with job applicants on Instagram. At least that's not what I hear is a big driver of applicant flow. What you want to use Instagram for is to tell your story. So you want to share beautiful images talking about your employer brand. You can share testimonials up here. Again, imagery, videos is what Instagram is meant for. So it's really focusing on employer branding. And then, of course, driving them over to your website by just putting that in the profile section where you're putting your website up there. But again, I don't talk to many people that are successful in getting individual job, like high traffic to certain positions up there. But of course, you do want to talk about that you're having openings up there. But I wouldn't expect a high return on candidate conversion in this area. Just focus on telling the story about who you guys are, who you place, where you place, things of that nature.
It's a great way to tell the story. And it's a challenge to get direct candidates because you can't put links in the posts. It can only go if it's a paid advertisement, which can be expensive on Instagram, or in your profile link, which is a couple of extra clicks for people. So I think, an Instagram strategy of probably a couple times a week or whenever you have really good content. It's not something where you want to post multiple times a day or even daily, but if you have really good content to share, the algorithm is going to continue to push it out because your post could receive some likes or engagement. And that's what Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook and all the social platforms want. They want people to spend as much time on there as possible. So if you have really good content, if it's once every 2 weeks, that's okay. If it's once every other day, that's okay as well. But really focus on how you can tell your story through your social pages.
Right. And some really great ways to get in front of different, markets with your messaging is, like, for example, a powerful hashtag would be, and I'm just making this up on the fly, like if you had an engineering position and you were looking to get a little more diverse, hashtag women in engineering. So women in engineering are looking for different imagery of women in engineering. So it'd be a way for you to amplify your messaging, get in front of the right audience. So look for hashtags that are popular in those specific industries and those job categories.
We're going to flip over here to the fourth pillars. We're almost at the at the end of the hour. The participation's been awesome. Thank you very much for sending it over. I know we won't be able to get to every submission, but we'll follow up afterward with some information. And the fourth pillar here is employment branding. It is, I like to say, it's not what you're saying, it's what people are hearing. And Kathy will talk about shop this from the rooftops or the mountaintops. And we try to control our employer branding messaging, but I think it's important to also say we can't just control what people are hearing. We have to have a really good plan behind our employer branding, short-term and long-term. And with employer branding, it's important to have a plan to proactively ask for reviews. We've developed into a mindset of really posting reviews more often than not when we're unhappy with something. We want to spread that message. But it's really important to have a process where you can proactively ask people for reviews. You can send them emails or text messages probably right after you did something really great for them, place them on assignment, or they maybe moved over from a temp to a perm, or they got a promotion at with your company. Focus on that, because online reviews, we use them in talent acquisition. We use them a lot outside of talent acquisition. And an interesting way I heard of this was at Staffing World a couple of years ago. We'll trust, our best friend or someone in that one-to-one setting, but we also crowdsource the 60, 70, 80, 100 reviews that a staffing agency might have. Or if we're looking to purchase someone a refrigerator, a printer, like I've been doing right now, looking at all these reviews from random people, but I'm trusting them because it's 300 reviews about a product. In staffing, Kathy, how does the employer brand really affect almost all the other pillars of recruitment marketing as well?
Oh, it's huge. I think your reputation precedes you, so it's super important. Especially if you want to attract and hire top talent in 2021, you have to invest in building a strong employer brand. So you want to make sure, as Matt had said, proactively get ahead of those reviews. I heard from several clients that when they ask them like 2 to 3 days in on their assignment, they get more positive reviews than they do if they ask them when they finish an assignment. So I just thought I'd share that little feedback that I heard from a couple of people. So if you're doing that process, whether it's a manual process or you're doing something automated, think about that timeline. Make sure you're getting them when they're first starting that assignment and they're hyper and they're excited about it. That's when you'll get your reviews. But your brand is not just defined by your own employee value proposition. I would think about, if your clients are allowing you, it's the quality of your clients. So if you can, share information about who you're working with, very simple things like on your website, companies we love and their logo, right? Because then that tells people who you actually have opportunities with. Or write blog posts about your clients. Create videos about specific jobs at specific locations so that the candidate can actually visualize that. Those types of things will help with your employer branding. But it is very, very important. As Matt had said, he's searching for a refrigerator right now. When Matt's looking for a refrigerator, he's not going to just go to the first refrigerator and buy it. He's probably going to look at a couple, and then he's going to go look at the reviews and see what everybody else is saying about that review, right, or that refrigerator. If people are talking negatively about it, he's going to be inclined not to get that refrigerator, right? But if he sees that everybody's talking great things about that refrigerator, or at least a majority of them, that's probably the refrigerator Matt's going to buy. So candidates are also like a consumer. So just be knowledgeable that they are doing the research. They want to do and work places that everybody is talking positively about. So make sure you're staying on top of your employer brand.
We receive a lot of questions about where should I focus on with my employer branding and which review sites are most important. And it's going to be different for each company. Number one is always going to be Google. It's always going to be, that's really at the top of the list because everybody will go to Google to search for whatever's on their mind that day. If it's for a refrigerator, if it's for a new job, if it's for, anything that's impacting their daily lives, they're going to go to Google. Google accumulates reviews in its Google My Business platform, and that will also impact search results. It's one of the main factors of search results of impacting search results. If you have a 2.5 star review on Google versus a 4.5 star review for the company down the street, that staffing agency is going to get bumped up in Google reviews. Then it's taking it to the next step. Is Facebook important for your company? Is Indeed important for your company? At Haley Marketing, Google is obviously very important. We focus on that a lot. We focus on Facebook a lot, but we don't really focus on Indeed and Glassdoor a lot because we're not hiring at a very high rate. We're not hiring, dozens or hundreds of employees every month. So Google and Facebook are important for us. For staffing agencies, especially on the warehouse side, the commercial side, Google is going to be important. Indeed's going to be very important. And, Facebook would be important as well. So having a plan to collect positive reviews, being able to display them on your website, and having a plan for when there are negative reviews are all really important to helping have the right person apply for your job. As we wrap this up here with the 4 pillars of recruitment marketing, is there anything, Kathy, you wanted to add here as we're wrapping up at the end of the hour?
Well, I like to talk about something I hear all the time, because when I get on calls, people are looking for that magic silver bullet. We don't have that here, and there's no such thing. Recruitment marketing is a multi-pronged approach, especially in this very competitive market where it's very difficult for us to get in front of candidates or have them apply for jobs. You need to have your foot in the door of every door you can. You want to make sure that your advertisements, your messaging is anywhere a candidate could potentially be. So there isn't one single source of truth. Just make sure you have a multi-pronged strategy so that you're reaching the right people at the right time.
The 4 pillars work together. There's no, could you have a roadmap that really talks about focusing on job advertising first, and then maybe your career site and social recruiting and employer branding? Yes. There's definitely a roadmap, as we like to say, for companies to focus on with marketing or improving their recruitment marketing. But they all play together. Your employer branding is going to shine through the other 3 pillars. Job advertising is going to work together with social recruiting or on your career site. So it's important to really look at those different pillars and understand some are more important than others. At different market factors come into play. Right now, with it being a very difficult candidate recruitment market, it's really important to focus on employer branding and why staffing and why your staffing company, and showcase that through your recruitment marketing, all the 4 pillars that you're focusing on as you try to get more candidates to apply for your job. If you have any questions, we'll hang out here for a couple more minutes, and want to thank everyone for their participation today. We went in, fingers crossed, that we get some awesome crowd participation, and we did. We were able to walk through a number of different career sites and some social recruiting, and I know there's some other ones that we'll follow up with after this call, in the coming days and weeks. But it was great to have that participation from the crowd and really be able to share some feedback live on the air with myself and with Kathy Duffy, our recruitment marketing strategist. Kathy, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And if anyone's on the call, I love doing these audits. I'd love to set up some time with you.
Reach out to our team, 888-696-2900, info@haleymarketing.com, or put some feedback here in the window when we end the presentation here in a couple of minutes. A reminder, our next Lunch with Haley is going to be on Thursday, July 15th, where we have a special guest presentation from the Vices Group and Tom Kosnick. He's been working in the staffing industry for 25 plus years, hosts a number of roundtables with different level staffing agencies and sales and marketing and presidents. And Tom's going to talk about how to hire A players. It's not all about the money, and really focus on some different areas of what types of skills, what types of characteristics, and just what should you be looking for to find A players in staffing and reduce your internal turnover for your teams. We want to thank everyone for joining us today here on Lunch with Haley. Appreciate the participation. Thank Kathy for all of her wisdom and expertise here and helping us walk through the 4 pillars of recruitment marketing. And we hope you have a great rest of the day. Take care.